Ready.
Okay. We're pleased to have Padraig Harrington with us, three-time major winner, 2 Opens, PGA, and now this is your first U.S. Senior Open. You had a chance to look at Saucon Valley a little bit. Can you tell us your thoughts about the course?
Yeah, I'm impressed with the course. Obviously, I played a few Champions Tour events, and I'm just trying to get used to the different golf courses. Coming to this one, this is a real golf course. It's a big setup here this week. Some heavy rough, some very fast greens, undulating greens. Yeah, it's how would I put it? I'm surprised for such a tough test on the Champions Tour. I'm not surprised that the USGA have had one, but it's for the US seniors. But it's the toughest test I've seen so far on the Champions Tour.
When you say it that way, does this remind you of any of the U.S. Opens that you played in?
Yeah, this would be very similar to what I would have played in terms of US Opens. I suppose we all hit it further now, so it doesn't feel as long as some of those courses we played 15 years ago. But it's certainly, it's very traditional. Really traditional. It's really what you expect at the USGA. It's exactly on point, and as I said, probably as a rookie, it's tougher than I expected.
Mm-hmm. When you think back to all the U.S. Opens you played in, how do you get yourself mentally prepared into something that's kind of a U.S. Open? It just happens to have the word senior in it.
Yeah, it's. I suppose for me, it's slightly different at this stage. I'm coming into these as the new kid in the block. I'm in good form. I think I've been runner-up 3 of my last 6 events, so I'm kind of coming in trying to manage my own expectations. Looking at this golf course is certainly one that suits me. So it really is getting my head around, and it kind of feels like, how I would have been trying to manage my tournament preparation back in my heyday, where I'd be going into these events, not hoping to win, but strongly expecting to be in contention. And my caddy gave me a bit of a lecture today about being grumpy, which is kind of the way you get when you're trying to organise yourself before an event that you feel like you have a good chance, and you kind of trying to get everything perfect before it starts. And those are the sort of feelings I would have had back in the day. You kind of have to manage your expectations.
Yep.
Are there a couple of holes out here that kind of you'd be glad to walk away with par for 4 rounds that may have a big say in the tournament?
I think every hole, if you play it well, is an opportunity out there. So I'm not looking at too many of the holes, especially if I drive it well. You can break the back of any of the holes, driving it well. I think there certainly will be pin positions on certain days on any of the holes that you'll be happy about walking away with a par on. So it won't necessarily be the hole; it will be the setup of the hole on that given day. The greens are very, very fast, and I'm at this stage. It's 2 days into my practice, and I'm still uncomfortable with the speed of them. I have 2 more days to get that right. But I think it would be more about the setup of particular holes at a particular time during the week. Like I'm thinking like that, if they use that front right pin on number 3.
Right.
Like I know it's actually one of the short holes on the golf course, but hitting at that flag with any club, because if you go long, I hit a few bunker shots yesterday, and unless you have the perfect line in the bunker, you're going back into the water from the bunker over, and obviously you can spin it in the water. So you kind of look at it and wonder, will they use that pin position? And then you go, it is the USGA, so they will. Something like that would be, watching out for the pin positions on particular holes during the week would be something that you can only deal with at the time. But plenty of stern holes.
What are your career goals at this stage of your career?
I just want to win. It doesn't matter where I'm playing. I just want to win. I think that can be it's been a burden for the last, probably 10 years of my career, where you're finishing 10th, it doesn't even do it. Finishing 5th doesn't do it. Finishing 2nd, unless I had a chance of winning. The only time I'm happy with a tournament is if I have a chance of winning, even if I don't win. At least if I contend, I feel good about it, and that can be a burden at times. If you're not in the hunt, you don't feel like you're at it, and you can over practice, try and get it too perfect. When to win, sometimes you just have to let it happen. And I would say over the last 10 years, after you've been at the top, you kind of, it gets harder when you're not in contention, and you're not, in the heel of the hunt.
And also, what's been your perspective of the changing nature of golf in the past few months, year, whatever, especially with players leaving the PGA Tour?
Well, look, I won't say the two biggest changes. Obviously, the new possibility of changes in the rules is a big thing. If they do dial back the equipment, then it looks like they're getting pretty serious about it. That is a significant thing that was released just recently. I know probably won't happen for a couple of years, but wow, that's a big thing that's gone by the wayside. I think the other thing, which is just incredible, and again, because there's other things going on in the world, the change in the world ranking systems is just going to hammer. It's going to hammer the European Tour. There really is, for a young person in Europe, there's no pathway forward with the new system. It's going to be devastating for a young player. He's going to have to leave. There's no way a young player is going to be able to sustain or get into the top 100 in the world, to get into those majors like I would have done. My pathway was very much established myself in Europe. When I got established in Europe, I started dipping my toe in the water by coming over to the bigger events in the States, the majors, the Arnold Palmers, the memorials that I qualified, the Players' Championship. After playing those for, I'd say 96 all the way through till 2004, I played enough events in America that I was comfortable in that environment, that I came over and took my card. I don't see that pathway anymore. With the world ranking systems, the players are going to have to come, and particularly the players who don't want to go to college. And there's a lot of European players that don't see college. They don't want to go to a US college. It's completely outside their comfort zone. That's not where they're at. And if that pathway to turn pro and play in Europe and have the comfort of your home environment, to grow your game, learn your game, to develop as a player, that with this new system, I know it's a meritocracy. I know Europe had a subsidy. I know all the international tours had a subsidy when it came to the world rankings, but it was something that protected those tours, and it's gone. It's devastating, and it's not getting it's not getting talked about, with all that's going on. But I think I'm distraught about it. For the young guys coming up, I just don't see the pathway anymore to get into the top 100, which is what you've got to do. Get in the top 100, and you can play the majors, you can play the best events, and test yourself without necessarily throwing yourself into the deep end.
Have you played much golf with Stephen Ocker? And what do you think of his game, if you have?
Stephen played in Europe for a while, so I would have known him over the years. He's obviously a really nice player, a lovely player. He seems to have come to the PGA Tour, or the Champions Tour. He seems to be peaking at this moment. This is his moment. The environment obviously suits him very well. Most guys on the Champions Tour, most of us has at least one issue going on. There's something going on in our games, that we're managing and trying to get by. He seems to be in the whole of his health. He doesn't seem to have any, anything going on in his game. It's right at on his top, probably his best form ever in his life. And it's good timing, and he's delivering on it, which is very impressive too. It's one thing to play great golf, but it's another thing to win tournaments, and win tournaments when you're, expecting to, and when you're favourite. And he's doing a great job doing that. Fair play to him.
Can you imagine being your mid to late 30s and going through a season like he went, where he didn't make even a one cut and not walking away, or thinking about walking away from the game?
Yeah.
I mean, you've had your challenges, but something like that seems
Gee, I didn't have any. When?
not like that.
No, I've never had anything like that. I think that's credit. Shows his resolve. I think that's his personality, though. He's a tough nut. For hanging around this long, many would, as you said, many would have given it up. And it's not like he competed on the Corn Ferry Tour at the end there, coming into the Champions Tour the last couple of years. It couldn't have been like that. That would be far tougher for him than PGA Tour, because you're going out playing golf courses that suit bombers. There wouldn't be the rough, there wouldn't be this, and he's going out there treading his way around, and those courses are not for that. And yeah, he honed his game, and now he's come into an environment that he has the best of both worlds. He's a lovely player who's actually probably longer than average, and for the first time in his life, he's bombing it out there and making loads of eagles.
Thank you.
All right. One question about last year. You had a very strong result in the USPGA at Kiawah, and then what has the past year been like transitioning over to senior golf? Have you had any thoughts that you could do some of the, like what Davis Love had done with playing sort of part-time on both tours, and what anything on your results make you think about how you want to transition completely or not?
Well, I'm intent on playing the events I want to play in the best events I can. So I played some events in Europe at the start of the year, and I was competitive. I feel I'm competitive at all levels. I've liked coming to the Champions Tour for a couple of reasons. One, I am carrying an injury. It helps me that I don't have to walk. It's a big issue for me physically to go through the 72 holes this week will be a big strain on my right knee. So Champions Tour is good for that. I look to the Champions Tour as somewhere as a safe haven to find my confidence, to find my game. I feel like I'm going to be in contention most weeks at the moment on the Champions Tour, so that gives me the place that you want to be, that feeling of every shot is important. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that helps me bring that back to my regular tournaments. Physically, I'm still capable of competing at the highest level. Mentally, that can be questionable. But funny enough, I think I've turned the corner on that end of things. So I actually feeling pretty good about my game and where I'm at, and I'm going home after this. I'm playing Irish, Scottish, and the Open, and I'm not going to any of those three events with the idea of making up the numbers. In my head, I'm going there feeling like I'm playing the best golf of my life. Doesn't matter whether it's true, I'm feeling like it. So I'm happy I can compete, and I do believe that the Champions Tour is helping me in that sense, that I'm in the environment, like we talked about with Steve, or I feel this week that I feel like if I do things right this week, I should be in with a chance at the end of the week, and that's a different pressure than turning up, at times where you're hoping for a miracle. I'm hoping for a good week. I'm not hoping for a miracle. I'm hoping for just give myself a good week, and I know I'll be there or thereabouts at the end of the week.
You talked about being grumpy a little bit. You probably
anxious, I think it probably was. Yes.
So you probably saw when Justin Thomas won the PGA, had a little bit of a talking to from Jim Mackay the night before about his attitude a little bit. How hard is it to sometimes fight yourself out of a negative feeling about your game, in general?
Well, let's face it, negativity has worked for plenty of people in the past. So that this is, there's plenty of people who've broken clubs, thrown clubs, got angry and have won. So it's not an automatic that not being grumpy. But on the face of things, for me, I've always played my best golf when I'm enjoying it, when I'm slightly, I would say, I definitely can get too intense. I can get, just brooding, thinking too much, analysing too much. I definitely play my best when I'm happy, talking, not really thinking too much about my game. I would think that's the way to go, but it's been proved wrong with many people. There's many people who are grumpy and win, so just because it works for me and maybe it worked for Justin in that particular sense, it is tough for any player when they have had their peak in their career. You're trying to live up to your peak, which is very difficult. So when you've had that moment in your career where you were at your best, you're looking back at it, and this is why you find so many people have only ever won one major or maybe made one Ryder Cup team, because they're trying to compare themselves to their moment, and it only makes it harder after that.
Can you speak just briefly about the knee? Is it something that just trying to maintain, or is there something that you think you're going to need surgery at some point? Or
I've had the surgeon look at it. He had operated on my knee 5 years ago. He had a look at it and he felt, can I handle it? I said, yeah, I can handle what's going on. He says, fine. He says, going in and having it scoped again, he says, be like pot luck. He says, so most weeks I've been pretty good. It's been very bad. I don't know why. Yesterday it was terrible. I'm going to go get some more physio. I probably use the compression and I'll ice it as well. The thing is, it stops me walking. It doesn't stop me hitting shots. So at this stage, it's manageable, and I do have good days and bad days. The physios have certainly helped it out at times. So yeah, look, it's something to work on. I don't expect I won't get through this week, but I'm playing 6 tournaments in 5 weeks coming up, so and they're all walking.
Last question. The winner of this championship does what the best this week?
There's 3 things you got to do. Physically you got to putt well. I think if you drive it well this week, you can break the back of the golf course substantially if you drive it well. Keep it out of rough, hit it long. But ultimately, on top, what leads to those 2 things is what we just talked about: great attitude. You're great mentally, you'll probably do the others well anyway.
All right, Padraig Harrington, thank you for your time and good luck this week.
So 3 things to do 1 thing right.
It's never easy.
Thank you.